I think a lot of people are worried about selling their land and like maybe like a big developer coming in. I try to make them part of a larger story. Hey, I like to resell this land to families who are looking to build like a little homestead or a farm and putting a house on it.
It's expensive to get a realtor. That's if they chose the right realtor. Like the realtor listed up for $100,000, they get an offer for $75,000, and then try to convince the seller, like when in reality, the realtor just not doing their job.
They're the helper. I'm just the middle guy. I'm looking to facilitate this land transaction. Like you've got something you're not using. I've got people who are looking for that stuff.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm Ron Apke, your host, joined by one of our coaches, very successful student, helping a ton of other people grow their business, Darrick Bourgeois. I pronounce that right, Darrick, right?
Yeah, and you ask me every time, and we always pronounce it right. You're good. You're good.
Awesome. Well, today we are talking about double closing, and this is something Darrick requested us to talk about because it's been growing so much. Double closing is something so many people are making, and I've seen like from students like $150,000, $200,000 double closed deals, and it's just something that has grown. And it's not necessarily something that people are doing solely in their businesses, but it's something that people are adding as a tool in their tool belt. And it's been just being able to pitch it is so valuable. What are you seeing though right now, Darrick?
Yeah, it's interesting getting into the coaching side of stuff and realizing like how many people don't understand what double closing is and really how to pitch it correctly to people. Because I think there's such an easy way to pitch a double close to a land seller that is so beneficial for everybody involved that as I've started doing more double closing, and even as I have done like my first 6 deals, I think 2 of them were double closes. And it just worked so well. And so, moving into my next group of 5 or 6 deals, I did a decent amount of double closing on those. And getting into coaching, I get so many questions, hey, I don't think I can get this 50%, right? I don't think I can get, the margin in here to bring in an investor. And I'm like, this is perfect for a double close. And they're like, what's that? And going into the strategy for double closing, I think is going to be really beneficial for listeners and stuff. So, I think it's it's something that we don't talk about enough, I don't think, as far as a strategy that we can tack onto just the standard land investing, bringing in an investor.
I 100% agree. And it's something that the only time I feel like I talk about it like high volume is when I'm reviewing deals and I'm like, all right, you got to go after a double close. And the reason for double closing, guys, is there's a few different reasons. One is just your margin isn't there. The other one where we push double closing is when the land is somewhat defected. Even if your potential could buy for 30 and sell for 60,000, if there's risk in there based on the quality of the land, double closing is a good option because it doesn't put money out, whether it's yours or an investor's money. Are those the two main? I assume the margin is the more common one, but for me, like, the quality of land one is something that you can make a lot of money on not targeting bad land, but just when it comes up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are the two main things. And, it's rare to see that like perfect square land, good road frontage, not wet, cleared spot for a building. It's rare to get that, perfect flip. And there's generally a lot of reasons why a double close will work. And just being able to have that double close in your toolkit to fall back on, right? I always start, my initial pitch is always going to be, trying to get that margin. But a lot of times we just go right into it. And then I also really I've been teaching a lot of my students about mailing for double closes, and, talking about also kind of getting into this area of thinner margins with, where the economy's at right now. And I think that's a, kind of a hot topic that double closes really can seem to work as far as almost like a safety net with, maybe a bit of a softer market or, things, you're able to get more aggressive with pricing, I think, as well. So I think there's so many reasons where double closes really work.
Yeah, I was just thinking that as you're talking, like a third way, like we talked about bad land, lower margin, a third reason to maybe go into it is like an unknown market, is a market you just don't know. Maybe the margin is there, maybe the margin's not there. There's not data on it. It's too slow of a market. You just want to be careful. You want to be careful with putting out $100,000, $200,000. And that's definitely another reason to go into it. So what is this? You talked to start about this, Darrick, in terms of the pitch. What does that pitch look like? You have a seller who, let's say you offered $50,000. They want $70,000. Property's worth $100,000. How are you talking them through this?
Yeah. So I think the first thing that I key in on with a lot of my coaching clients is making sure that this person knows that I'm going to resell this land. I'm not buying it for myself. I'm going to resell this land. And I'll tell them who I'm looking to resell it to. I try to make them part of a larger story, right? Hey, I like to resell this land to families who are looking to build like a little homestead or a farm. They're putting a house on it. Like, I'm not. I think a lot of people are worried about selling their land and like maybe like a big developer coming in, and I'm like, it's a little bit ridiculous to think about, but like Rose, DR Horton's not coming in to buy your 3 acres to put homes on, right? But like they're worried about it. Like it's
Yeah.
just worry that's going to happen. But I let them know that hey, this land is going to be perfect for somebody who wants to get out of the city, get some land for their kids to run around and get out of an HOA. Put a homestead on, maybe some chickens, and like now this seller feels like they're part of a bigger story, right? They're like, oh, all of a sudden they want to be part of that, right? And them selling you their land, they get to be a little part of that story of, this happening. And everyone loves that story. And honestly, that's probably 90% of the people I sell to are those people, right?
Hmm.
I just got off the phone with somebody who's they're trying to build a little barn dominium on 3 acres I have in Indiana. Like, I love that. That's a great story. They're moving their family from Kentucky to Indiana. So it's that story. And that really sets you up for a double close. So, you go into it, hey, I can give you $50,000 in 15 days if you're looking for cash fast. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not looking for that $50,000 right away. I was really hoping to get 70. Great. Let me take a look at this. Let me see if I can do 70. Click, click, click. You know what? I can. I can do 70, but it's going to take me a little bit longer to free up some money to get you that close. If we can agree on that, I can send you over that contract right away. Right. So I know I got that $30,000 margin in there. If it's worth 100, I got that $30,000 margin. I might be selling it at 95, 90,000, which is great. I'm getting 20,000 out of this. Here's where you reselling it comes into play. You go, hey, Rose, I'm also going to send you this thing called an attorney in fact. This is going to allow me to pre-market this property before I actually buy it. That's all this is, right? The benefit to you is that now we might be pushing up that 90-day close. If I can find a buyer sooner than that, I might be able to close at 30 days, right? 60 days, whatever it is. But if I can start pre-marketing it, getting up on the MLS, there can be a benefit. So now not only are you getting that $20,000 extra, the $70,000, but now we also might be able to move that closing date up. So it's not 90 days, but now it could possibly be sooner, right? So I make this as a benefit to them for that attorney in fact, and it makes that attorney in fact so much easier, right? And the pitch really usually becomes, hey, whether I sell it now or whether I sell it after we close, I'm still going to resell it, right? Just so you know. And it's usually like, yeah, they're totally fine with it. And it makes that attorney in fact sales pitch so much easier. And I've gotten almost 100% of my people to sign attorney in facts ever since I started doing that. And it's great.
That makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I mean, the value in giving the option, because you still have on the back, like they say, I need money tomorrow or whatever, not tomorrow, but you know what I mean, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you still have that, like, I can get you that, like that offer is there. I just cannot get you $70,000. Is that as simple as that?
100%. Yeah. It's the quick, I got $50,000 cash that I can get you really quick. You need a little bit more, great. I'm going to need to free up some money, right? And I can do that in 90 days, possibly sooner if we get that attorney in fact signed. But yeah, that's that simple.
Talk about, because you obviously talk to a lot of people actively doing this business, and there is a fear around these conversations, I think, as far as like talking to the sellers. Talk about that a little bit. Is it a fear because they don't want to be honest about it and they want to like kind of they beat around the bush a little bit? Like where does that come from? Or am I just making that up in my head? But I feel like some people don't pitch it.
As far as on the seller side,
As far as like talking to the seller about this, as far as pitching double close, and you're like, you sent a $50,000 cash offer and they want 70, and like I feel like some people shy away from pitching double closes because maybe some kind of discomfort in the conversation or something like that. Maybe I'm just making that up in my head.
yeah,
Though.
no, I think that's absolutely true, and I get that with a lot of my coaching clients, right? They're like, oh, I don't want to deal with double closes. It sounds too scary or it sounds too complicated, and I don't know, right? I think that's got to be it. Like it's just the fear of the unknown. They don't understand. I mean, a lot of our system is built on 50% margin, getting that land investor, and it's great. I love that because I love having an investor who's familiar with land come in and get another, get eyes on the project as well. And there's a comfort there of having that investor coming in with you. When you're doing a double close, it's just you, right?
Mm.
You're kind of the one that's up front with this is what I can buy it for, this is what I can sell it for. But once you realize, I mean, you find this parcel of land, you come in for a deal review on Monday, live with me, and we look at it, and I go, yeah, this is great land. It could be awesome for a if not for subdivision, but for a double close, and that then you just have to have that pitch, right? Once you have that pitch down, it becomes really easy, and it's not like you're not doing anything weird. You're just being honest. I'm going to resell this land, right? That makes the attorney in fact really easy. So I just think it's the fear of the unknown and the fear of going at it alone, that people kind of shy away from.
I think people try to tiptoe around the truth, honestly. Like, I like how you, like,
Mm-hmm.
nothing Darrick said, guys, is like bullshit. Like, it's 100% the truth. It's what we're doing with the land. And like, sellers like honesty, and it's not that hard to feel for a seller. Like, when they feel like they're being lied to, that's when they're gonna start ghosting you. They're gonna like back away, and they're gonna just be concerned. If you're just completely honest, like, it makes a lot of sense what you're doing too. It makes a lot of sense for the sellers to be like, yeah, that sounds good. 90 days. I'm not in a rush to get the money. That's perfect. Um, I like that way of pitching. I think it makes it a more comfortable conversation. Some people might say no, or some people, but give me the option: 50,000 cash, $70,000, exactly what you're asking for, Miss Seller. And I can get you. Just give me 90 days for this. And if it's no rush, it's no rush. It should work out just fine. Are there people like? Does this end up with back and forth in your opinion, Darrick, or like ever, as far as like this, just like, where is the holdup in making these deals happen? You said pretty much 100% of the time, like, they're good with it. If you can meet them at their number and give them that, is there any holdup ever from the seller, or back and forth after that?
Not so much after that. I mean, there's always going to be, once you kind of get the contract in place, the signed PA, there could always be back and forth after, right? You do your due diligence, you find out there's something wrong with the land you didn't see in previous. The nice part about it, once you get that signed purchase agreement, they're much more willing to negotiate in good faith with you. I find that before you get that signed PA, they could walk away at any time and it feels no problem. But once you get that signed PA, they're much more willing to negotiate with you, and you can get a better price if you need to negotiate down or whatever. So that's always going to be the case. But I mean, for the most part, the most of the back and forth comes when maybe they want that 80,000, right?
Mm.
Where it's now we're starting to get into margins being a little bit too thin, and so I start thinking, I need to get him to 70. And I always have this in my mind before I go into a conversation with somebody. Like, I know what my 15-day close number is, right? Get them cash in 15 days. That's going to be that 50% margin. Then I also always know what my double close number is, right? And so I know where I need to get them. We talked a little bit about this on the Lunch and Learn last week about what I refer to as the peel them off the ceiling talk, right? So I usually come in with that 50,000. If I know that they want 80, I need to peel them off the ceiling,
Mm.
right? So I usually come in with that 15-day close, and they realize right away we're not even close. I want 80, I'm at 50. Right away, the human brain, for somebody who wants to sell their land and knows they're already taking below market value, for the most part, they already know that their land's worth 100. They know that. And we'll talk about that here in a second, because that's another pushback as well. But I peel them off the ceiling with that 50. They automatically go to, all right, what could I take? Right? And it could be that they come down to 75, right? Well, now we're close,
Mm.
right? And then I come up to it, I'm like, maybe I can do 60. So I've come up 10, they've come down 5, and they're like, well, could you do 70? And now we're there, right? So I need to peel them off the ceiling to kind of get that brain working in the right direction for me. The other big thing that happens afterwards is I go, hey, I can come in at 70 in 90 days and possibly sell this before we close, right? So that attorney in fact talk, their response is, well, why couldn't I just do that, right? If you're going to sell it before the 90 days, why wouldn't I just, hire a realtor and do it that way? And I go, great, 100% you can. And I break down what that entails, right? And this is the big thing I think for a lot of people. Your land is worth $100,000. I tell them up front, 100%, that's how much your land is worth. And if you sell it with a realtor, that's what they will list it for. Now, what you get, right? First off, realtors don't like selling land. Unless you get like a specific land realtor, And they're expensive, right? Land realtors take usually a flat rate. So generally it's, if you're selling something for $100,000, they're going to take a $6,000 commission. So right away, we're already talking, you're only getting 94. Cool. You're also paying closing costs, and you're probably paying closing costs on both sides. So that's going to be another 4 grand closing costs. So now we're at 90. So then if you have to pay another realtor from the sales side, that could be another $3,000 to $6,000. So now we're at 80, let's just say 85, right? On top of that, your realtors don't like selling land, right? They're good at selling homes. That's just what they want to do. If they have the option to show your land for 100,000 or a home that's worth 600,000, whose property are they going to go show that day? I'm going to go ahead and assume the $600,000 one because they're going to get, a $20,000 commission on that house versus your $6,000 commission, right? They're in it to make money as well. So your land is going to sit 6 to 12 months because they're not motivated to sell it. I see that when I sell my own land and I get a realtor, right? Sometimes it sits for so long and I'm like, they're just not motivated to sell it. And I get it because they've got 10 other listings of homes, all $600,000 homes. That totally makes sense to me. So now you're only getting 85,000. You might not get that for 6 to 12 months. I can give you 70 in 90 days, possibly sooner. I'm a land professional. I can sell land. That's all I do. I don't sell homes. And that's why the benefit of working with me comes into play, right? And so now they're like, now they can really start weighing those costs. And all that stuff is true. Like I'm not, this is they have to realize that that's the road they're going down. It's also a lot of paperwork. I'm handling all the paperwork. I'm handling all the closing costs, right? There's a benefit to all the things that we do as land investors for them. And so you really, and they might make that choice. They might go, you know what, I'm just going to do it on my own. I go, great. And you know what I do? I follow up in a month because 100% of the time they're like, I couldn't find a realtor that wanted to take it. Or, I wanted to try to do for sale by owner. And it's a massive pain, right? But we're used to that stuff. That's what we do. So that's kind of the sales pitch out the other end, the back and forth once you start talking, right? Those are the two main arguments.
You got me sold on there. That's for sure. And it's just a bunch of honesty, guys. Like it takes land sits. Like that's the reality of it. And that's the thing though, at the same time, like you got to show the seller confidence because they're putting their, like they're also relying on you. Like just like they would be relying on a realtor, like they're relying on you to come through because you're not guaranteeing anything. They're not getting any cash until you actually sell the property. But that being said, like being able to display that confidence, everything like that, like you got me sold. And it's just a reality. It's expensive to get a realtor. That's if they chose the right realtor. Like, what are the chances of someone like, I will still choose the wrong realtor because they're good salespeople. And it's not that easy to choose the right realtor. Unfortunately, sometimes they'll show up and they'll post one picture and then the seller's just like, seller's no clue what's going on. The realtor might, what happens in those situations too, the realtor lists it up for $100,000. They get an offer for $75,000 and then try to convince the seller like this is an amazing offer, when in reality the realtor just not doing their job very well.
Ever wondered how land investing can be the fastest path to financial freedom? I break it all down in my new book, One Lot at a Time. I'll show you exactly how to find, buy, and flip land for huge profits without dealing with houses, tenants, or any crazy renovations. It's simple. This is the book that I wish I had when I first started. If you're ready to take control of your financial future, grab a copy now. One Lot at a Time by Daniel Apke. Find it at your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
Really, really interesting. You talked earlier, Darrick, that was a really good walkthrough. You talked earlier about some of your students are targeting double closes. Talk through that. Like, what are they targeting? Are they making blind offers at 80%? What does that look like?
Yeah, so that's exactly what it is, right? So we get that there's lots of people in the group. Now, keep in mind, it's not that many people. We always like, there's so many people in this group. First off, I've owned land in West Virginia now, just so you guys know. It's in an HOA, so it hasn't sold. And none of you guys have sent me a mailer on it. So there's not that many of you guys because I've had land there for like 6 months and I still haven't got a mailer. And it's a great county. So all that being said, there's definitely not enough people in this group sending mailers out. But there's a lot of people sending mailers out, right? And there are very hot counties that you see a lot of people. And I get that as well, right? I get my clients. We talked about this a little bit in the last podcast. Like somebody sent out a mailer this month and the next month I have another client sending it out to the same county, right? When you target a double close, you come in at, 60, 65, 70% for that double close and you put your close date at 90 days, right? you could always, still come in with that 15-day close, right? So if somebody is looking to sell fast. But what I find is the majority of people don't mind a 90-day close, right? I can get you cash in 90 days because of that higher dollar amount. If they get mailers in the same month for, one for 50,000 and one for 70,000, even though this is a little bit longer of a closing date, they're probably going to take this as long as they're not in a hurry. Now they still might, right? Like we're benefiting here on the, I just got my tax bill and I owe $10,000 and I need this cash, right? That's the benefit. But if somebody who's just going, I've thought about selling my land. I think there's a lot more people in the in the world who are going, I've just thought about starting to sell my land. I hadn't really thought about it, but I could use that cash. I'm not really using this land. I haven't been out to it in 10 years. There's a lot more people like that who are willing to sell maybe at a discount and have just started thinking about selling their land, and they get that higher offer and they're like, well, that's a great offer. I could take that. 90 days feels really short for somebody who's not as motivated. So it kind of hits those people in that middle ground, right? That, aren't quite as motivated to sell, but have just started thinking about selling their land and really just want an easy sell.
That makes a lot of sense. What has been the success of that?
Yeah, obviously the phone rings a lot more, which is great, right? And I've got some clients who have only done, I have one client who's mailed 2 counties in Oklahoma, specifically targeting double closes, and has gotten 1 deal in each of these counties so far, working on a 3rd in his 2nd county that he mailed. And his phone rings so much more than all of the clients who are doing, the standard mailer, which I think is great, right? Now it's a lot more land he's got to look through. He doesn't mind that, but it's great. The response rate's higher, and there's obviously a better chance of getting a deal there as well. Now there's not as much wiggle room, right?
Yeah.
It's fun to come in at 50 and be able to negotiate up. You don't really have that with a double close deal, right? This is probably going to be your best offer, unless you mail it like 60 to 65, and it's county dependent, obviously. But what I find is that the benefit there is really that you can get more aggressive on price, right? I'm not dealing with an investor who needs that 50% margin. I'm coming in and going, I'll take $15,000, right? I'll come in for 70 and sell it for 85 if I need to. I can get really aggressive with that pricing. So that's kind of the benefit of double closing and mailing for double closes.
Yeah, and it should be like a part of your business, guys, whether it's targeting it or like doing it based on like double closing needs to be a tool in your tool belt for sure. And Dan and I have been talking about like high ticket double closing quite a bit in the last, 3-6 months, whatever it is. And are you having people go up that high where it's offering $500,000 for a $600,000 product or property? That's where I think there's so much opportunity because so few people know how to sell that expensive of land.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I didn't actually think about that to begin with, but it works so well with large parcels. Large parcels have a tendency to sit longer anyway. It's going to take a little bit longer to sell. So I usually push them instead of a 90-day close to like a 120-day close on those larger parcels because, someone's going to have to really want 200 acres, right? Like it's a smaller buyer pool. So they are going to tend to sit longer. But absolutely, right? There's so much of a benefit there for those higher tickets to come in and still make $100,000 on the double close for those larger parcels. And with the longer close, it was going to be a long close anyway. So it's great. Yeah.
Talk about texting with this. You talked about kind of are there ways to target this with texting, or is just like having conversations with everybody? Like I think the more conversations you build up, and the more interest people get in selling you land, like then you can find a number that works for them. But talk about texting and double closing, because you're obviously a high volume texter. A lot of people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month that you're coaching, texting, and doing land. But talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. It's really just about having that conversation and knowing, obviously, I love texting. We talked about that in the last podcast. It works really well, especially in counties where pricing's not super easy, right? Where you would normally go in and go, maybe do some zip code or polygon pricing in this county. The texting, you can go in and you can text that county and kind of price on the fly. And when you price on the fly, you really get a good idea of that specific area in the county, how much things are going to go for. And right away, you can determine what is my 50%, what is my 15-day close number and what is my double close number. And it's really having that conversation right away with people. And in my text messages, the text message I get the highest response rate from, and this is wild, is the one that says, hey, I specialize in finding land for people who are looking to build homesteads and mini farms in your area, right? And it already starts building that idea that not only am I reselling this land, but they're going to be part of a bigger story. They're going to be part of this family's journey, getting a parcel of land and building a farm. And so that one I get, close to a 17 or 18% response rate on versus all my other text message streams, which are down to like 14, 15%. So people love to hear that story right off the bat, and it really sets me up really well for a double close on the end, right? Because they automatically know that I'm not going to be buying this land for myself, but I'm a reseller, and that story is already going in their head. So I really like
that's all in the first text. Is that correct? Like,
yeah,
you preface it with, repeat that one more time.
Yeah, so it's a cold text county, right? I haven't reached out with mail at all. I'm going in with a cold text, and I say, hey, so and so, my name's Darrick. I own this land company. We specialize in finding land for people in the area who are looking to build, homesteads and mini farms, and get out of the hustle and bustle of life, and get into a, smaller city, smaller community, that sort of wording around it. I mean, obviously I have 5 different text messages.
That sounds like that like can lead directly to a double close. Like, I feel like you're kind of like lining up A, B to C. Double closing is lining up the seller with the buyer. You're the middle person,
Yep.
making the difference essentially. And like that wording just kind of triggered in my head. It makes a ton of sense. Like, you are trying to line up an end buyer for this seller.
Yep.
Obviously they're not going to know exactly how much you make, but it's just like 17% response rate. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And because people want to be part of the story, right? Keep that in mind, that there's this story that people are like, if I'm going to sell this land, I want it to go to somebody who's going to steward it well into the future, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people are worried about. Like, I don't want someone coming in and putting up, 50 homes and like big developer moving in. But if they're like part of this story, I think that really triggers something in people's brain of like, oh, yeah, if I'm going to sell my land, this is who I want to sell it to.
Feels like you know a lot about the area with that text. Feels like you know a lot about their land. I feel like it's a connection thing as well. Like, it's, yeah, you're building that story, but like you're also showing some knowledge. It's not just, hey, you own this, I want to buy it. Interested? Question mark.
Yeah.
Which some people try to do, and then that's a 4 or 5% response rate. And the difference in the response rate isn't going to mean like you're going to get that many more deals, but it is like starting a conversation, because you can't just keep cold texting them. It doesn't work. Like, the system will cut you off, correct?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so getting that starting the
First
conversation, you get out. Let's just say 7. What's a normal response rate?
So I get like 9% on some of my like standard text messages that I've tried in the past. I've changed them all now. I've, obviously not getting too far into text messages, but I always tell people to make their text messages a little bit funny, right? Add some humor in there. And that gets a higher response rate. So I've changed all my text messages to something that's a little bit more humorous. In my
That's
text
80
messages.
more leads, though, quote unquote leads. Like, not everyone is going to be. Some people just might be like, stop talking to me. Still,
Totally.
but it's 80 more leads per 1,000 text messages. Like, that is an incredibly powerful difference. And just like you said, like it's a storytelling thing, and like if you connect people, like kind of, I feel like it almost distracts them a little bit from the price, and like maybe de-escalates if they're angry about text message or something like that, and it kind of distracts them from that, and like gets interested in like, okay, what's happening here?
Yeah, totally. It disarms people, right? They automatically, because it just goes to a different part of their brain. It goes to this like, they feel like they're helping somebody else out, right? They're the helper. I'm just the middle guy, right? I'm looking to facilitate this land transaction. Like, you've got something you're not using. I've got people who are looking for that stuff. Now, I don't know these people yet, but I will, right? I will know these people. They will call me once I've listed your land. And that's people love to be part of that.
Feels like you're doing something for the seller instead of doing something for yourself. Feels like you're doing something for both sides. You're helping someone find this beautiful land to be able to put a barndominium or a manufactured home or build a house, and you're trying to get the seller some money. Like, it feels like, based on that text, that you're helping both sides instead of like I said before, just like, I want this.
Yeah.
Okay, here's this money.
Yeah, I mean, that's all sales are, right? How can we help, right? I get 50% of my hate calls, I'm sending people up with realtors, right? I'm talking them down off the ledge, and I'm like, hey, look, if you're looking to sell the land and we can't get to a good price, I can send you a realtor, right?
Yeah.
How can I'm looking to help. And as long as you go into every call thinking, how can I help you? You're going to end up in a lot more beneficial conversations down the road for sure.
I'm coaching a couple people one-on-one right now, and like that's one of the things that they're really good at, or one of the people I'm thinking about is really good at, is like they're just like one of the questions he was asking me, I don't remember what the whole situation was, but I'm like, dude, we can't do all this. Like you're not gonna make a dime on this. You're literally just like this land's not sellable. But yeah, just being able to problem solve in this business is gonna get you more deals. It's gonna make you more. It's every business too.
Every
Like if I
business.
made the land portal just for myself, or like where like we don't take feedback or anything like that, like it's gonna die. Versus you make a product or a service and it is genuinely trying to help people, you're trying to solve people's problems, you're going to make a lot more money. It's going to be a lot more fulfilling as well. Let's talk real fast as we finish up here, Darrick, about like the marketing aspect. How much money, like, are you investing money into marketing, getting drone pictures, making the picture look, making the double close sale? So you don't own this property yet. You have the rights to sell the property.
Mm-hmm.
Are you trying to make the listing as beautiful as possible, just like you own it?
100%. Yeah, yeah. There's no real difference between what we do when we buy it for 50% and what we do when we buy for a double close. Like everything stays the same. It's just a timing thing, right? So I think people think it's like a different thing. It's not. It's the exact same, right? I am still buying this property, right? Whether it's with an investor or whether I'm, either way I'm getting an investor, whether it's a
Yeah.
transactional investor or whether it's an investor for like a more traditional funding, I'm still buying it and then I'm still selling it, right? I'm just reorganizing the order at which I do it, right? Normally, I buy it, I market it, I sell it, standard. In this instance, I'm marketing it, I buy it, and then I sell it, right? And that buy sell window is just a much shorter period of time, where the marketing window is much longer. So I'm still doing all the same stuff, right? Getting the drone pictures, doing all the same things, putting it up on, all the aspects, including Zillow now and flat rate MLS because I have the attorney in fact. So it's really no different. I think people, when they hear also, I think a little bit of the fear with double closes is they think it's wholesaling, right?
Mm.
Like it's kind of got lumped in for whatever reason, but it's not. It's not anywhere near the same as wholesaling, right? We are still buying it. We're just marketing it first. I usually like to think of it as pre-marketing and then buying and selling rather than buying, marketing, selling. We're just putting the marketing before the buying. That's all it is.
That makes a lot of sense. And one thing that I think goes where people get scared investing in a drone or investing in like listing services is they don't do a good job. They don't know if there's actually money to be made in the deal. And like people that's you need to know your margin. Like, yeah, you're not gonna know exactly what you're gonna sell it for, but don't do buy for 15, sell for $18,000
No.
double closes. Like you need to have margin in there. Is there a like when you're reviewing a deal, we talked about buy for 70, sell for 85. Is that kind of like, is there a minimum you want to make on a double close? Is it 10,000? Is it 15? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's going to be. I'm much more of a percentage guy, right? Like, am I going to offer 70%? It's property dependent. I'm going to need some money in there for marketing costs. I'm going to need some money in there for closing costs. So I need to factor that in. So anything that I buy, I'm thinking an extra $5,000 for all those things, right? Marketing, closing costs. That gives me plenty of buffer for that. So on smaller deals, it sounds so crazy because when I first started this, I was like, if I can just get one deal where I make $5,000, I'd be stoked, right? I'm past that at this point, and I probably need to be making about $15,000 on every deal minimum. Not necessarily. I hate to say it worth my time, but it's just
One of those
it,
guys.
I'm the worst.
Yeah.
But it's true. I mean, when I'm dealing with other properties where I'm making $50,000 to $100,000, it's hard to put my effort into something where I'm only going to make five, right? So I'm generally around that $15,000, but I really need like $20,000 margin, if not more, to get aggressive with pricing if need be. And
Yeah.
that's really the benefit to double closing, is that I get to choose what I'm selling it for and how much I'm going to make versus having an investor where they're going to dictate a little bit more of that side of the story. So, um, you know, obviously the more upside I can have, the better, because then I can be more aggressive with pricing. I mean, I've locked up my first double close was a buy for 30, sell for 70. It was actually a deal that you guys
Wow.
looked at on a deal review in Ohio. And I think you guys knew the area, and you were like, no, this is great. It's going to be, this is a really expensive area. And they're like, and you said, hey, if you're worried about it, go ahead and just double close it. And I was like, all right, I'll double close. It was right on train tracks, and so I was a little worried. And it was a quick double sell. I think I got it under contract and had it sold within 30 days. Um, buy for 30, sell for 70, double close. So that turned out to be a great deal. So I still even like double closes when the margins are awesome. You know, it really accelerated my business because now I've took in much more income. It's going to be more rare, obviously, but yeah.
That makes sense. I don't remember that, but it's definitely I'm glad I evaluated it. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it Perry County? What county was it?
It was, hold on, I'll tell you. I think I have it listed here still. It was, oh, I don't have it listed here. Oh, no, I do. Union County, Ohio.
I don't even know where that is. Wonder if that's around. Is it around Columbus, or is it right above
Uh,
Cincinnati? It might be right
I think
above
it's right above
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
Yeah. Interesting. One thing to not do, guys, as we finish up here is like Darrick knows, or like everyone who's double closing, who's doing well in this business is like tries to have some kind of minimum margin. Maybe that's $7,000 for you. But you want to have some margin in there. What you do not want to do with double closing, and it gets such a bad word. That's what happens with wholesaling as well, is people lock up as many contracts as they can, and then like whatever happens, happens. You don't want, because you can get referrals in the double closing business. Like you can you will get referrals. If you get someone their money that they were asking for in 30 days, because that's going to happen. It's going to be really good versus these people who are doing this business and they have 30 properties listed and they only end up selling one of them. Like one, it's really shitty to the seller. Like you told them you'd get something, you offered something, you told them you would get them in 90 days, 120 days. Like don't do that. Like don't lock up things that you can't sell. Will it happen from time to time? Yeah, but it shouldn't be more than 5% of the time, in my opinion. Anything else to add to this, Darrick? I mean, as far as there's so many nuggets in this episode, guys, in terms of like tangible action steps, wording for texting, how to make these offers. Like there's so much tangible nuggets. Rewatch this episode, re-listen to it because there's so much in it. But anything else to add, Darrick?
I mean, that pretty much covers it. I mean, I love double closing, obviously. I'm really comfortable with it. And honestly, that first property that I did double close with that was like my learning. Like that's when I started kind of building out this whole system for my double closing. And it's just been great ever since. So, I mean, if anybody has any questions, hit me up. Obviously, if they're looking for coaching, it's a great opportunity to jump on and get some coaching, especially if they're looking for double closing stuff. But I think it's a little bit of an untapped market, especially if you're struggling with regular mail. You get that a lot. Like, you know, I've sent out, there's so much that goes into it, county selection, pricing, all that stuff. But this can allow you to really kind of bump up that response rate. It's just a great tactic. It's a great tool to have. It's not a standalone. It's definitely something you add into what we're already doing, but it's very powerful.
If you guys are looking to get started, I'll put a consultation link in the description below. If you guys are wanted to get some coaching from Darrick, anything like that, schedule a consultation. We'll chat about it, see how we can help you. Other than that, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below. Share this with a friend. Other than that, thank you so much. Thank you, Darrick. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.